Welcome everybody, thank you for tuning in today. We've got a pretty fun and personalized topic for today's video. We're going to be talking about handlebars. This is really a key touch point for every rider. It's something that I'm pretty passionate about myself, as arm pump, hand fatigue are things that plague me and a lot of riders I know. And thanks to the folks at competitivecyclist.com, we've got a number of different bars to talk about today, pros and cons. We're gonna let you know what our favorite bar is, and guess what? You're gonna be stoked. It's actually the cheapest bar on this table. Handlebars. We've got a couple of things to talk about. We've got material and diameter. Beyond that, you can get into rise, which we'll touch a little bit on, but to me, the biggest and most important things are gonna be the bar diameter and the material. The rest is a little bit more comfort-based in terms of body position and less about the vibration, damping, flex, and overall comfort on the descents, which ultimately, as downhillers, first and foremost, that's what we care about most. So let's start out with talking about some of the race face bars we've got here. This is the 6C carbon fiber bar. As you see on my Specialized Enduro, this is a personal bike I just got built up. I'm very excited about. We've got a set of the alloy Atlas bars. And then here we've also got a set of race face bars, and these are the Next Rs. All three race face bars, all three with very different applications and intended purposes. And this is something that's important for you guys to note. If you're not familiar, not all handlebars are created for the same purpose. There are bars that are designed, like the 6C, for downhill application. They're gonna have a different stiffness, they're gonna have different durability levels. They're all designed to pass safety standards. They go through the same, flex and torsional tests in machines, but some are overbuilt for the intended applications, the likelihood that they're gonna meet the ground a little bit more often. So a 6C carbon downhill bar is going to ride very differently than an Atlas or a Next R. So the 6C bar, again, it is kind of their top of the line downhill bar. It is a unidirectional carbon. There are a couple of different rises available. You can either get a 20 mil or a 35 millimeter rise. They both have an 8-degree bend and a 5-degree upsweep, and they're gonna be, you'll see across the board, a lot of the bars that we're gonna be talking about have an 8-degree sweep. That's just kind of ergonomically a really good middle ground to be for most riders and their bodies. So this bar retails for $179 or $189 depending on the configuration, which is about in line with other high-end carbon fiber bars from other manufacturers, and obviously is why a lot of people still opt to run a aluminum handlebar, because cost savings are definitely felt. All right, so similar to the 6C is the Deity Skywire. This is a unidirectional carbon handlebar. It also retails for $179. Like many of the other bars, they've got little hash marks here so you can cut and adjust the width. Something to note is when a brand designs a handlebar, they have to make it pass those stiffness and strength tests at that maximum width. So if you have a company that designs an 820 mil bar, and it's designed to be stiff enough and withstand strain and pressure on that load machine at 820, and you cut it down to 770, it's gonna ride like crap. So that's something to consider, what bar width you normally run, and trying to find a bar that's at least closer to that. So these here are 800 mil wide, so you can kind of feel a little bit better that they weren't tested when they're this long, and as you trim them down a little bit, they're gonna get more harsh and more abusive. But nevertheless, these bars came stock on a few of our test bikes, and we pulled them off pretty quickly. We're just not fans of how stiff and rough those handlebars ride. A number of our testers felt like a lot of arm pump, a lot of finger fatigue, and that it's just not a bar that we would recommend. Unfortunately, they look cool. Deity as a brand's got a lot of really neat stuff, but we just don't get along with a lot of their handlebars actually, and that's one that we pulled off a test bike and replaced with a set of these PNWs. If you look at this bar, you'll see it's a little bit narrower right here than some of these. These are a 35mm bar clamp diameter. This is a 31.8. And for a very, very long time, 31.8 was the standard until the new standard of 35 came along. In our conversations with a lot of people that work for brands and are responsible for making and producing handlebars, there's no denying that there is some marketing and aesthetics that are pushing the 35mm handlebar craze or demand, or whatever you want to call it. It's not just the bike industry's fault. There are people out there that really believe they need 35mm bars because it's stiffer's got to be better. But if you look at a lot of pro athletes, a lot of riders, a lot of product managers that work for brands, you'll still see a lot of 31.8 handlebars on their personal bikes. I like a 31.8 bar personally. I run that on my bike whenever I can. If I've got the ability to, or the time to change out a stem and put a 31.8 bar on there, even if it's aluminum like this one, I don't care, because my comfort, having strong hands and forearms that are not fatigued or cramping or like feeling like they're gonna fall off, means I'm gonna ride better. And I can't say I've ever felt like I was gonna crash because my handlebars were flexing too much. I'm not sure, but if you guys have, let us know down below. But the Range V3 bar, the cheapest bar on the table here at $69, and it's the one that we would probably suggest most, followed by that next R if it's in your application, right? You can't put that thing on a downhill bike. Well, we don't suggest you put it on a downhill bike, but for trail, enduro, e-bike applications, definitely a big fan of this. Moving on to a little bit of the ergonomic side of things, we've got this Tag Metals bar. Tag is a company that's been around for a long time in the motorsports world. They've been making dirt bike accessories and parts for a very long time, and have been in the mountain bike game for quite a few years now as well. We like a number of their grips and some other cool products that they make. This handlebar has got a very low, minimal rise to it. It's a 10mm rise. They do have other options available that go up 20, 30, or even 40mm. So we just wanted to bring this one out to show you guys that depending on your bike setup, your body type, and really the geometry of your frame, there are a number of different ways to customize or modify the fit and handling feel of your bike. So if you've got a bike that, for example, has a very high stack height and you're feeling like you're having a hard time keeping that front tire down on steep climbs or on flat corners, you feel that you can't weight that front tire and it's wanting to kind of wash or push away, if you drop that bar rise, it will put your body forward and weight that front end a little bit better, help with traction and some climbing performance. Obviously, the flip side to that is if you go too low, whether that's by reducing the number of steer tube spacers or going to a flatter bar, when you start going downhill on very steep terrain, you can kind of get that road bike feel of nosing down, which is not something you want to do. So there's definitely a fine balance, and again, depending on your bike, on your body type, and the terrain that you're riding regularly, these are all things to think about and consider while you're making your next handlebar decision. So back to my brand new enduro that I built up, I have a set of the Race Face Atlas 35 alloy bars. Now I know I said I'm not a huge fan of 35mm bars, but I haven't spent a lot of time on the Atlas bars in the alloy platform in 35, so I was a little bit curious to see how they would ride, and I'm gonna cave to something I said earlier. They had a gold stem in 35 and not 31.8. I know, I put fashion over function. Hopefully that's not gonna bite me in the long run, but the Atlas bar is a pretty solid bar. I've spent a lot of time in the 31.8 size of that bar, and I really liked its feel. It is one of their more versatile bars that can be used for a number of different applications, from aggressive trail to enduro or a little bit more gravity and e-bike focused. So it is available in 31.8 and 35. I'm hoping that the 35 will do pretty well for me and that I won't be regretting my decision of not waiting for that gold 31.8 stem to come back in stock. But plus, being that it's an alloy bar at $79, you know, it's not a terrible investment to find out that you made a bad decision like it would be if you spent $180 or more. All right, so now that we've gone over a few options and a few different things to consider in making your handlebar decision, I'd like to just kind of part with saying, fashion, yes, it is important. I get it. We all do it. But comfort is king. If you are comfortable, if you are confident, and you're riding in a fresh state, not fatigued, not tired, not thinking about how your pinkies can barely stay on the grips anymore, you're gonna ride faster, you're gonna ride safer, and you're gonna get more laps in. Don't be afraid. If you get a 35 mil bar and your hands are feeling like crap, your fingers are tired, it's not you, it could be the bar. Don't be afraid to make a switch. There's a lot of options out there. I think alloy and 31/8 are great options. Thankfully, the folks at competitivecyclist.com have a lot in stock right now that they can offer you, so go check out their web store. They've got a ton of parts. Thank you guys again for watching. Hope you enjoyed that video. And if you think we're wrong, let us know. I'm curious. How many of you guys like 35 millimeter handlebars? How many of you guys like alloy or 31/8 handlebars? Let us know, please, down below. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and we hope to see you out on the trails.